Always remember, numbers never lie, only the people reporting them do. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Daily Update for Sunday, July the 5th, and I hope you had a great July 4th and celebrated America as an American. But hopefully you put your politics aside for a day because we are Americans first. Remember that. In the meantime, we're getting a lot of numbers right now between poll numbers and jobs numbers, and everybody wants to interpret that and them their own way. And hey, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it, but the facts are the facts, okay? We had a huge jobs number, brought in a lot of new jobs, okay? Now again, we remember where you're coming from. If you remember one thing, okay, it's got the same to do with markets and everything else that we do. If you're coming from zero, okay, and you're coming from very bad, they can only get better. Just think of it as a limbo stick, okay? The lower the bar, the easier to get over. So again, think about it, okay? And of course, we have the poll numbers where right now it looks like Joe Biden is going to trump. Okay, it looks like he's going to kill him. I'll tell you what, I will predict here, it is July 5th, 2020. And as I did in 2015, predicted who would win the election then, I will predict that not only will Trump win, but he'll win by more than the margin that Biden is showing right now. Okay, that's my prediction. Okay, again, nobody's going to admit to wanting to vote for Donald Trump, but look at your 401k. That's what people vote on. If they get off their lazy ass and go vote, that's what they vote about. Money. Okay, because remember, it always comes down to money. We can talk a good game, and we can talk about all the things that matter, but at the end of the day, it comes down to money. Just ask some of the NBA players, okay, or some of the other people that are doing things that we wouldn't call exactly great at this moment, okay? In the meantime, okay, again, we've got an economy that is improving. Now, again, we're not going to say that it's back to normal. I mean, it's not even close. But at the end of the day, it is getting better. And we're not going to shut down again, I don't think. So if we're not going to shut down, then we are going to continue to grow. And we're going to continue to get more usage, and you're going to start to see that things recover. Now, we do have earnings season beginning this week with JP Morgan and some of the other banks. We know the earnings are going to be bad. Now, we have to understand what has already been priced in to these markets. This goes to everything that you ever see in markets. It's what is already priced in, because that's the numbers to watch. Not whether or not they're bad and we got to sell, but whether or not they've misguided and guided worse than they got. Okay. Remember, earnings numbers are very tricky, especially for investors, because the companies do a lot of manipulation ahead of time. As they like to say, many of them will under-promise and over-deliver on a regular basis. So again, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying be careful. And you know one thing. You know the slogan of Bubba Trading, and that is, if you trade the news, you lose. Okay, but in the meantime, we saw the groundhog came out of his basement because he was going to see his shadow, Vice President Biden, and of course he went in front of for a press conference, and it was almost as if they had scripted the questions for him, and he had his answers scripted. I love the softball questions to Vice President Biden. I think it makes a lot of sense. Just look at the difference between the questions asked of him and the questions asked of President Trump. Did they ask him about the South and who should have won the Civil War? Again, look, I don't care. I mean, obviously everybody's got their own opinion, but it is rather amazing to look at the questions that Biden gets versus the question that Trump gets. But of course, that's the media. Remember, media on both sides is trying to manipulate which side you go for. Okay, so they're always going to report the numbers cockeyed to their favor. It's the same way that many people try to trade, which is why it comes back to price action, because that's all we care about. We keep telling you this on a regular basis, and hopefully someday, for most of you, it will finally make sense to you that it's price we're concerned about, nothing else. Okay, but I think when you look at the speech on Friday night that President Trump gave in South Dakota, I thought it was very factual. Okay, again, you cannot change the history of what we've already done. We know that there's been a lot of things that have not been very good, but at the end of the day, okay, we're getting better. And are we 100% improved? No, but we will continue to grow. Just go ahead and erase history and suffer the consequences. The only thing I can say is by the time the people that are so intent on changing history, unfortunately, my kids and grandchildren will be around for it. I won't be here for it, but it will be the biggest disaster ever. Okay, it'll be worse than anything if you try to erase the history that's already happened, because if you fail to learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. Right? And of course, the big question now, the big office pool is how long will Maxwell, Epstein's assistant, how long will she last? Okay, now we're going to find out where the real power is and how powerful the deep state really is here. We know she's a horrible person, as he was a horrible person. Okay, we know that anytime you get involved with children or underage kids, okay, and pedophilia, whatever you want to call it, you are a bad person. That is the worst than anything. When murderers and some of the worst criminals in the world can't stand you, you know you are below the bottom of the barrel. So the big pool is will she make it? Will she make it to testify? Or will she somehow mysteriously, like Epstein, commit suicide? Okay? I don't know. I would have to take it that she never gets to testify. That would be the way that I would see it. But you know that I do think more in conspiracies, as you know, that I talk about the central banks and their ridiculous responses to all this. I don't understand why they think that more free money is going to continue to fuel the economy. Okay, free money does nothing. Okay, but make your dollars worth less because we pay for it. You don't create jobs with free money. You don't create anything with free money. Okay, you do create something. You allow the rich to get richer. Okay, that's always nice, and it allows people like me to go out and borrow. Okay, and mortgage all my homes. Okay, and take the cash and invest it. Okay. Again, think about it. I mean, it does not help anybody with the free money. We need jobs. Okay, we need to continue to see the growth of jobs. We need people working, not sitting home on their lazy ass collecting an unemployment check. Okay, we need to get people back to work. There's a lot to be done here, and nothing more important than the structure, okay, of the country. Right? Roads, bridges, levees, they all need to be redone. What are we waiting for? Let's put the money to work for there. Christian, Illinois, they could have finished all this work during the 2-month or 3-month shutdown and let those guys go out and work. But of course, why would they want to do that? Why would they not want to wait and bottleneck traffic instead of having everything fixed when there was nobody on the roads, when you weren't allowed to be on the roads? But that's a story for another day. But it is interesting how we're back in the phase of the 80s. We just had the close of the biggest quarter since 1987. What happened in 1987? Oh yeah, there was a Black Monday in 1987. Now, I'm not predicting that we're going to get one here. Okay, but again, this reminds me of 87. This reminds me of the 90s. Okay, you have got a whole new breed of day traders trying to trade through Robinhood or whoever they are. Again, it's not just Robinhood. Robinhood just happens to be in the headlines. But everybody's looking for ways to make more money. They're riding the free money train. We've seen stocks like Nikola, great truck, by the way, I bought one, going to the moon, okay, and then collapsing. All right, again, you've got Amazon at all-time highs. Now, listen, Amazon probably has every right to be going up along with Apple and some of the others. But at the rate they're going up right now, a little bit scary in the big picture, okay? Again, I think you have to remember, right, that, again, you cannot create market bubbles, which is, I think, what the Federal Reserve has been the best at. I think they do nothing better than to predict, to make bubbles, okay? They can't predict them, but they make them. All right. This goes back to Greenspan in the 80s. And they just believe that if you keep funding and funding and funding, it's going to work, but then it doesn't work, right? But this is their way of getting us to a digital currency. You watch, okay? You heard it here, okay? You're going to, someday there will be a digital currency and you won't have any privacy, okay? That's what we're giving up here, Americans, okay? And of course, if you're on the left side, you're going to say that the unemployment problem is much worse than it's being reported. Well, we already know that it's about 12% reported, and I guess if you look at the people that aren't looking anymore, you're probably 15 to 18%. And again, it's bad. We know it's bad. But again, is it bad in getting worse or is it bad in getting better? And right now it's bad in getting better. But of course, as we opened up with, numbers never lie. Only the people report them lie. Okay. So depending on what side you want to lie for, you're going to make it sound one way or the other. Okay. And I think that this is an investing world gone nuts. There are some people are calling it covidious. Okay, it's the covidious disease of investing. We're going crazy, and got people trying to day trade this market that are watching some of these things go in leaps and bounds. You've got partial shares being traded now. I mean, there are so many changes to this market, the way things can be done. Okay, that you can see that it's just a bubble and waiting to pop. And again, we don't predict when bubbles are going to pop. We know for a mathematical certainty that at some point this market's going to melt down. Now, personally, okay, I believe we're going to make new lows again. Okay, the lows that we made in March, I think we're going to go down there, and I believe we'll probably go down there this year. But again, when? I don't know. Will we have another true Black Monday? Well, again, Black Monday itself can never happen again because we have the limits, okay, the circuit breakers that stop markets from doing that, okay? Because why? Because it stops the panic and it allows cooler heads to usually prevail. But there's going to be a point in time where we're going to start going down, day after day after day, and not small amounts, but in giant leaps and bounds. But again, overall, the U.S. economy will eventually recover. And eventually we'll get back. And again, I don't ever foresee the markets, giving up that 8 to 8.5% gain year over year, just not every year. But there's a lot of other troubles that are in the world. And I think China is a great cause for most of them. Okay. Now, again, look, I believe that everybody should do the right thing, but I think China did send the virus over here. I think that's their way of chemical warfare. But you can see Canada, who doesn't break treaties with anybody, basically, they gave up their treaty with Hong Kong because of some of the grief they're getting from China. There is stuff going on in Australia that China is behind. So you can see that China is trying to take over the world. And look, again, they want to be the world leaders. They want to replace, they want to knock the USA off their block, which they never will, not at least in my lifetime. If the people here, okay, go to the socialism, if they go to erasing history, if they do all that, yeah, then China will take it over easy. It'll be done, okay. But hopefully we'll be smart enough, and I believe that we will. Again, I believe the biggest noise being made now is from the very small few, because again, as I said earlier, it comes down to money, okay, and that is where we talk about. Of course, the big scuttlebutt now is are the Washington Redskins going to change their name? Are the Cleveland Indians going to change their name? And I say, why? Okay, they're not used in any sort of derogatory manner. They're used as part of a franchise name that has existed forever. And you're going to change. You're going to change everything. You're never going to be able to be 100% politically correct. But again, personally, I don't see a problem with them anyways, in my own personal opinion. The Florida State Seminoles, again, or maybe they should all just change their names, okay? And we should see, I don't know what you'd call them, something generic, right? It would be, why don't we just call everything the Washington Generics and the Chicago Generics, and then we don't have to worry about it. Again, to me, it's a bunch of crap. I don't see the demeaning part of that. Maybe I'm insensitive to that. I don't know. But I don't see derogatory terms as I've heard about my religion my whole life. as I've heard, from other races and things my whole life that I've heard. So I don't see these names that fit into that category, but maybe I'm wrong. Again, I never say I'm right, but we'll see. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 5th. We're going to step out here for a break and we'll be right back with more. All right, kids. Well, here we are. And of course, I want to remind you about our great commodity report. And the quarterlies have started to come out from Andy Hecht. And why are they good? Okay, they talk about the thing of commodities. And of course, Andy is the #1 writer for Seeking Alpha, as well as at one time the biggest silver trader in the world and trades commodities, the physicals, worldwide, and has traveled worldwide trading them. Check it out. Go to BubbaTrading.com, Technomental. And again, we got our new partnership with Family Farms, very exciting, and we'll give you more details on that as we go forward. And don't forget about our brokerage partners. We have, in my opinion, the best in the business. Now, again, I've got more than one brokerage account. I've got brokerage accounts at a number of different places. But when it comes to letting my stuff be traded, my commodities and futures to be letter of direction traded, I go to CTG. Okay, they handle it all for me. Okay, I've got 6 futures accounts with them. I got 7, and they trade them all. Okay, and I don't ever look. I know when they execute. Customer service is phenomenal. They do it for our people. So CTG for commodities and futures, and for equities, there's nothing like Tradier. Okay, I mean, I've got accounts. We've got automated trading and our hedging and some other things, and we're gonna have more. We've got their API, and of course, they're $10 a month. You know how much money that saves me a month with the amount of contracts that I trade during a month? Think about that. Why wouldn't you rather put the money in your pocket than in a broker's pocket? And of course, don't forget about our high school program. We're trying to re-gear up for the fall at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 5th. And of course, markets, woo, baby. Now, we were short, so, wasn't all that comforting, right? But look, we said last week that we closed the week at support, and more than likely, there was going to be a bounce. Not a shock, not a surprise. Now, maybe the depth of the bounce, but if you notice, and if you ever look at a chart, and we talk about the phases of the market all the time here, the congestion band continues to roll. They were down at support, now they're at resistance. So we would expect this week to probably see some selling. Now the selling would fit better with our positions as well. We were short all last week with the exception of the NASDAQ, but the NASDAQ rallied so much, it almost covered all of other 3 indexes, okay? But again, look, we don't make excuses. We're trading price action, and if the algorithm flips, I'll have to flip. I won't want to, and I would suspect that if we had an up day on Monday, tomorrow, then we'll probably flip Tuesday. But, I don't think we will. But we'll see. Again, I don't ever argue the facts. In the meantime, we remain short the Dow, Russell, and S&P, and long the NASDAQ. And until something tells me to change, and I don't care. Nothing bothers me. Whatever comes out, comes out. The metals, working perfectly. Gold and silver can continue to try to run, okay, and break out. Gold looks like it's going to make a run at the all-time highs. Silver obviously is so far away from all-time highs, but it looks like it's going to take out a couple of year highs here pretty soon. And platinum continues to be weak, and we continue to be on the right side of all 3 of those markets at the moment. The crude market at 40 seems to be very, very tough to get through, even as we roll into the next cycle of expirations for crude. Look, again, I'm long crude. I hate it. I know we're going to break here. The good news for me is that if I'm actually right, we're getting closer to a reversal. Like in the next down day, we'll probably be ready to reverse. So to me, it's either I make money going up, or it turns around and I get short somewhere up in here, and I take it all the way back down. And I think that's the direction it's going to be headed. But again, I don't predict markets. I give you my position exactly as it is every week and every day, and that's why I'm still long. Bonds, we're still long bonds and notes. Again, I don't like it, but they're still trying to push higher. Now, again, higher notes and bonds mean lower interest rates. And of course, I think we're going to get higher interest rates. I think the demand for money is increasing. And I know I just went through a whole mess. And by the way, if you're looking for a loan for your home or whatever, Rocket Mortgage is as good as they say it is. I've got some pretty big accounts at a couple of banks, and I got pissed off and got tired of waiting for them to finish all their pay. Every day there was something new they needed. I had Rocket Mortgage, okay, last week. I've already got a closing date, okay, for more money at a lower interest rate. So again, just for I don't advertise, but just in case that you're looking for one, it was the best experience ever from a loan standpoint. So, but anyway, I think there's a big demand for money, which supply and demand is going to push the interest rates higher to much chagrin of the Fed. The dollar continues to be, in that range now, the lower range, but we're long. The dollar's like 95 to 98. I think it's probably got a shot to run back to par now. This is, again, when you see the Fed, which always losing control. Nat gas, we're still short. Again, I hate being shorted at these low prices, but at this time of year, it's not as dangerous. I'd hate to be short at these type of prices in October, November. But right now we're still short. It's awfully cheap, but it can get cheaper, and we'll wait until it reverses. Copper continues to explode, which is, again, would also indicate, the economy is getting better, because demand for copper, it's called Dr. Copper for a reason. It's used in building, which means if we're building, it means there's labor, there's a demand, and so on and so forth, which would also lead me to believe there's higher interest rates coming down the road. So again, copper, we remain long. Grain markets, wow, we called it, right? I mean, we didn't catch all of it because obviously we were short part of it. But again, as I said, that report was BS coming out. It's BS now. But look what happened. You got prices so depressed in corn, especially, excuse me, that eventually, no matter what happened, as they say in commodities, not in stocks, in commodities, more often than not, low prices will cure low prices. And I think that's what we saw. We saw the funds continue to try to push and push and push. And it's beautiful when somebody's trying to push in one direction in a market that's not liquid and that's dull and that doesn't have much volume. Because what's going to happen is as soon as it reverses, they're going to get trapped and they're going to be forced, and prices are going to move much bigger the other way. And that is exactly what we saw in corn on Tuesday, right after the report. December corn is now exploding, and it looks like it's breaking out to the upside. We actually got long the day after the report, and it's obviously been up the rest of the week, except for Friday had a little bit of a down, but you expect that after a straight up move. Soybeans, we've been long, and they exploded to the upside, and soybeans look like they're going maybe to the mid-9s now. So we're pretty excited about that. And wheat, we're still short, but it's getting closer. Wheat is still in a pretty dramatic ugliness pattern, but that could change with another up day or so, could trigger a buy there. The meats, nice moves up too. Again, you had a little pressure on feeder cattle early in the week based on what was going on in the corn market, but of course it overcame that and jet set it a little bit higher. Fat cattle or live cattle continues to be strong, and we look for those both to make new recent highs. And hogs, last week I said it, I'll say it again. There's going to be a limit up move here this week at some point. It's just, again, this is the same instance you saw in the corn market where they just keep pushing and pushing. But now the overall formation is become bullish. Okay. The formation in the hog market has become bullish. As you look forward, typically December is usually about the lowest of the year. This year, December is not lower anymore. So again, we'll see, and we're still short. So again, it's not like I'm trying to talk up my position. I'd like to get long, but I'll wait and I'll wait my turn like I'm supposed to. But remember, markets are very thin and there's not a lot of liquidity right now. So I always warn you, okay, if you're just trading on your own, which is great, be careful. Okay, know where your exits are. That is one thing that I think is very important and that I think many of us forget, okay, is to know where we're getting out. Don't let something sway you, especially the news. Because, of course, we say it all the time. Trade the news and you lose. I do expect to see some buy-in come back to the market. I do expect to see a fairly heavy sell-off as well. Again, not because of the algorithms are short, but also because of where we are in the overall charts. So I expect all of our positions, with the exception of our bonds and oil, to probably be in the right side of the markets. We'll see. Again, I don't change. We look at our portfolios as one big position, so I don't really look at individual components except what I'm talking to you here. But in the meantime, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we'll get some volume. Hopefully, we'll get some liquidity back to these markets, and hopefully, we'll get some trade back. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, July the 5th. This is Todd Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step out here for a break, and we'll be back with my commentary after the break. Well, kids, as I say, or as they say, our mini micro futures portfolios, another winning week, another positive week. We just keep rocking them in every week. And of course, by August 1st, that product will be off the market because the only reason it's still on, I was supposed to be done earlier, but I'd made 3 commitments to do some webinars for a couple places, and I forgot. But August 1st, they are gone. They will disappear forever. So again, I just want, if you want in, hey, there ain't no time like the present. And if you don't want in, hey, no worries. We'll have fun without you. Not a big deal. And don't forget about our commodity report from Andy Hecht, Technomental. As I say, listen, he's the #1 writer on Seeking Alpha. Check him out. Okay, you'll see for yourself what he writes about. But he does a special report for us, okay, for the Bubba Trading people. And again, there is nothing like it. So check it out, Technomental at BubbaTrading.com. And brokerage, as I said, I've got many brokerage accounts at different places. But when it comes to having somebody to you that I'm going to let trade letter of direction for me based on my portfolios, I go to CTG. They are by far the best in the industry. Okay? They're reasonably priced. They get the best customer service. They answer the phone. That to me, when I'm calling, I'm not calling to say how you doing. They answer the phone. Love it. They're great. We've been with them for years, and of course we've been with Tradier for years as well for equities and options. I mean, again, I always ask, it's a very simple question. First of all, they got great customer service. We have their API, so we have a lot of our automated things through them. But $10 a month, why should I pay anybody more to do the same thing? To me, it doesn't make sense, right? Why do I want to overpay for something I can get exactly what I can get from them, and you get great customer service on top of everything else? So trade your brokerage. You want a special link to either one of them, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. I'll send it to you. We have a special deal with both of those places. And our high school program, where we are trying to rebuild it for the fall. If you want to help us out, it's at Patreon, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horowitz. Welcome back. And this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, July the 5th. And of course, I hope you had a great Independence Day holiday. And I hope you celebrate as an American and not as anything else. In the meanwhile, there's a lot of talk about Warren Buffett and how he's lost his touch. Now, I'm not a fan of Warren Buffett, so let's be clear. But I'm going to defend him here. Okay? But I'm not a big fan. But this is really a warning to all of you. Okay. So Warren Buffett dumped a bunch of his things, and he dumped them at bad prices. And everybody's saying, well, he's lost his touch. He doesn't know. These are new markets. These are different. These markets are different. Okay. Markets are never different. That's number one, right? Warren Buffett recognizes value. Valuations are not going to change, okay? Market valuations are not going to change. What changes markets is nothing. Okay? Markets go up and markets go down. When you create the bubble territory, which we have right now, you have people that are buying because they just want to buy. There's only one place to go. They're chasing the market up. Again, I urge you to go take a look at Nikola. Look at some of the other high flyers. Look at Moderna. But again, Warren Buffett is a value player, and he will use his capital to find long-term value and not get caught up in this time it's different. This is a new market, because what markets always come down to at the end of the day is the company that you're investing in profitable? It comes down to money. Notice how that came up in another topic today. It comes down to money. So as much as I have disdain for Buffett and some of the things he does, when it comes to investing, I have no problem with him blowing out some of the crap he blew out, because again, I think he realized that even if it turned, the potential for him was not great. And he looks for also potential and payback and yield. And I think he realized, and I think he's reevaluating. But as far as losing his touch as a straight investor, I don't think so. I think that he's telling you, and this is more of a warning up front, that a guy like that smells trouble. So when he's pulling back into cash. What he's really doing is looking where he's going to go with his next dollars, in my opinion. So again, I urge you to be very cautious as you chase these markets around, if you are. I urge you to know where your exits are, but also understand that if you're investing, now day trading is not investing, but if you're investing, just to make sure the stuff you're buying today, you expect to be in business 10 years from now. Because that's the real secret. You know, trading Nikola, hey, it's great. I mean, it's hard to trade because the volatility is so high, but it's great. You can make a lot of money, but you can get murdered as well. But in the meantime, I think they'll be in business, but you never know. You want to make sure that the underlying strength of that company is solid. And I think that's what Buffett's looking for. So for me to defend him, it takes a lot for me to defend somebody I don't care for. But again, I think that too many stories are making fun of Warren. I think they're wrong. In the meantime, everybody have a great weekend. I hope you had a great Independence Day. And please, let's just all be Americans first before anything else. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. See you later.